So, is this speed monster from Western Digital any good, and is it even faster than the current NVMe SSD Samsung? Let's find out in this video. Well, hello there everyone and welcome to a new video over here on Antons Hardware channel. Now, today we're going to talk about this. This is an NVMe SSD from Western Digital and it's supposed to be really fast. Now, when I was sent this SSD, I thought, well, okay, that's all quite nice. It's all marketing and it's never going to be as fast as Samsung. When I was creating this review and doing all the benchmarks, there were some surprises there, let's put it mildly. This isn't the normal one about sound cards. There are two in the making, three as a matter of fact, but I just do not have the time to create videos, and also it is really hot the last couple of weeks here. It's 30 degrees and I'm in the attic where I'm at this moment. I don't have any air conditioning, so I'm sweating like a pig, just to put it mildly. So it's not nice to create videos when it's really hot. Now, today is one of the more, less warm days, so it was time to create and record some videos. Let's head over to the specifications of the NVMe SSD, and then we'll move further on to the results of the benchmarks. So let's take a tiny peek at those specifications. The format of this drive is the M.2 80mm. It uses the PCI Express 3.0 SSD interface and uses 4 lanes. The memory modules used are the 64-layer 3D VNAND, which is quite cool. It uses just 2.8 watts. The mean time between failure is 1.8 million hours or 600 terabytes written. The controller used is one developed by Western Digital themselves, the WD 3-core ARM. Now here you can see the Western Digital SSD dashboard, the driver interface. Here you can see the model that's inside, the one with the heatsink. There is a gaming mode. I'll get back to that a bit later on. There's a drive health, which is at the moment normal, the firmware version, any notifications, and if there are any securities activated or not. Now here you can see the capacity, which volumes there are, the life remaining. What's also interesting is the temperature, which is down here. It's 118.4 Fahrenheit or 48 degrees Celsius. Now, at the moment of recording, I'll just have to check it. It is 29.1 degrees in the room where I'm recording this. So it's really hot already. And I've just done some other testing on this SSD. So I think it's still rather cool, but it's cool that it's still cool. But it's not that hot. The interface speed, which is good just to check if you have the right amount of PCI Express and the right amount of lanes that are in use. Here you can see the performance. Nothing really happening here. You can see the time that I'm recording this, but nothing really is going on there because, well, I'm not using this SSD at this moment as it's just an auxiliary drive. Any tools that there are, settings, and here's a help function. But let's get back to the gaming mode. Now, if you enable this, what it does is that all the power saving modes or settings that are, normally on an NVMe SSD are disabled. So there's, just a tiny amount of latency is reduced because, the power saving features are not enabled. So I wanted to find out if that is really the case and, does it really help you in getting a bit more performance. So I'm just going to run again SSD benchmark, as you can see in the left of my desktop over here, and to see if there are any changes in performance. Let's check it out. So I chose to run SSD benchmark side by side. On the right you can see the results with gaming mode on and on the left without. So it's really interesting which one is faster. Well, you can see the results at this moment. And I'll just compare it to the results from the Samsung 970 EVO 1TB just to make a little bit of a comparison, and the results look like this. On the left with gaming mode off and the center gaming mode on, and on the right the Samsung 970 EVO 1TB. As you can see, there isn't any difference in performance. You might even say it's a bit slower. So what's going on here? So we've just established that turning on the gaming mode, well, you shouldn't really do that because there is no performance increase. When we look at all the scores, the read score and the write score that I've gotten out of ASSD, you get these scores, and these are all the drives that I have tested. Going all the way from the Samsung 970 EVO 1TB to the Transcend TS120. That one together with the Samsung 840 Pro are just the regular ye olden SSDs. Now the scores speak for themselves. The Samsung 970 is the fastest, followed by the Western Digital and followed by the others. Now if you go to the ASSD benchmark again for the read and write sequential, you can see that the Western Digital is a bit faster than the Samsung 970, because those are the only two drives that I'm going to talk about. Now these scores are rather interesting because the margin of error, especially for the read, are so close together that, well, this performance is, well, it's interesting to see these kind of scores. But if we look at, in this test especially, the Western Digital is a bit faster. If we look at the test that I've done with the Samsung Magician software, which also has a benchmark included, you can see that the Samsung 970 EVO 1TB is just a bit faster. Now I was thinking maybe the software of the Magician is a bit cheating and giving their own drives the best scores, but if we look at the scores that is random, that's a test that's not included in the ASSD benchmark, you can see that the Western Digital is a lot faster. So I was thinking, well, this Western Digital drive isn't bad at all, because the random read and random write scores are the scores that you want to have the best of. Why? Well, you'll do a lot of random reading and random writing. You don't do a lot of sequential read and write, maybe for some larger game files, but at the rest of the time it will be random read and write. So in my opinion, that's the most important score. But let's go back over to ASSD, and you get the read score for 4K blocks and write scores for 4K blocks. It's all more or less the same. If we go over to the the access time for the read and the write, this is also very interesting because here the Western Digital Black is again the fastest drive. Again, this is the IOPS, so that's the in-out operations for a drive. Now this is something that SSDs are known for, to be really fast, but this time the Samsung 970 EVO 1TB is the fastest out there. So the conclusion, is this NVMe SSD really that fast? Well, it is fast. It is a very good second place. The Samsung 970 EVO 1TB is always just a bit faster. There are some tests where the Western Digital is just a bit faster, but it's not a bad NVMe. And as a matter of fact, I think it's a really good one. What I also like is the driver interface that they've created. I think it's really nice. Also, what is nice is that the version that I have has to build on heatsink. Now, I'm not really sure if it does anything. If it doesn't, it makes your inside of your computer make that much more cooler, because if it doesn't have one, well, it's just a chip in the computer. Now it looks cool. That's just cosmetics, I know. But what is cool is that the prices have dropped the last couple of months. When I was creating the text for this video, it was about 220 euros, and now it's about 202 euros, and it's only 3 euros less expensive, more expensive than the Samsung 970. So price-wise, they're almost identical. Performance, they are, well, almost identical. And so would I recommend this? Well, as a matter of fact, I would. It's a really good NVMe SSD. What I also, my main thing is that it has its own built, or Western Digital in-house built controller. Now that's something I, must applaud. Whereas most manufacturers of NVMe SSDs just buy them off the shelf from, say, Marvel, Silicon Image, or whatever other companies there are that create those controllers. they took the time and invested money to create their own controller. Now that is something I cannot, well, emphasize enough. It's applaudable, and the results of their own work is that it's a really fast NVMe SSD. Again, it's not as fast as the Samsung, but still it's a really good NVMe SSD. Now that's it for me for today. I wanted to thank you for watching the video all the way to the end, despite all the maybe boring statistics and graphs that I've created, but I wanted to be as thorough as I could be. Now that's it for me for today. I hope to see you soon in the next video. See you then. Bye bye.